On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel's changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel's Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, we're going to get to the Knicks in a moment. It is Game 3, and President Trump is in the house. So we'll talk about that. Also, Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayor's in the house as well. So let's hope they win a Game 3. Then they go on to Game 4, and it's a clean sweep. So let's see what's going on that. We're going to give you an update on that in a moment. Meantime, some big updates taking place in the mayor's race and also governor's race in California. Lots of news tonight. In just the last few minutes, the AP has projected that Nithya Raman, who is a far, far left progressive, has won the LA mayor's primary to get that second slot. So what that means is that Nithya Raman, according to the new numbers that came in, and there were so many ballots that came in the last few days, we'll get into the questions surrounding the way it works in LA in a moment, but she is now projected to go up against Karen Bass in the mayor's race. And what that means is reality star and someone who has brought a lot of reality to that race, Spencer Pratt, is no longer in the running. That is a very big deal because Spencer Pratt looked like he was sitting pretty in the number 2 position. And then all of these ballots came in and suddenly things change. And now the Associated Press is projecting that the race for mayor will be Karen Bass versus another Democrat, someone even to the left of Karen Bass, and that is Nithya Raman. So LA, I love you, but you're in trouble now if you don't have Spencer Pratt in the race to make it real, to talk about what really matters, to talk about crime, to talk about homelessness. Well, you're in big time trouble. Now it's a choice between Karen Bass, remember, who presided over all of those fires. She left. She went to Ghana. She came back and said, whoopsie, sorry if I was out of pocket. And then you've got Nithya Raman, who is an ultra progressive, and all of those things add up to a dangerous combination. And sadly, a bad choice is what it means for Los Angeles. And then to the governor's race. This just coming in that Decision Desk HQ, not everybody's called it yet, but Decision Desk HQ is predicting that Javier Becerra, who we know is already in there because he had a sizable lead there in the governor's race, and that's held even with a lot of the ballots still coming in the last few days. And Trump-backed Steve Hilton will go to the next round. If indeed that holds true, it looks like it's going to. That is going to be very big for the state of California. So again, Decision Desk HQ in the last few minutes saying that Steve Hilton, conservative, Trump-backed, a new American. He shares the story about what it means to be an American and that he is now going to make it to the final round. So at least there's a little bit of common sense in the final round in the California governor's race. And what a contrast he is to Javier Becerra. So what do you make of the fact that suddenly all these votes came in from California that changed the game big time in the LA mayor's race? Earlier today, and I'm going to play some clips later on, we talked to Bill Asaley. Bill Asali is the U.S. attorney in California, and he talked about how first-time voters can get signed up if you have like a gym membership. If you can't show proper ID and you don't have a social security number, you can show an insurance card. You can show a gym membership. Can you imagine going, here's my Gold's gym membership. Trust me, I'm a legitimate voter. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I mean, that is a frightening situation. And that's what's ahead there, as we are seeing in California. And apparently a whole bunch of new first-time voters came in. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Well, meantime, let's go to MSG. And just a little bit ago, President Trump came in and he was cheering on his favorite team, my favorite team, the Knicks. And there it is. Star Spangled Banner. Please, everybody, stand up. And you could see President Trump, he had his hand on his heart, and he was surrounded by a lot of folks in his cabinet. He had a lot of people with him. He had Doug Burgum, of course, the Interior Secretary. Steve Witkoff was there. The owner of the Knicks, James Dolan. Also, Dan Scavino, his Deputy Chief of Staff. Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary. Lee Zeldin, of course, who ran for governor of New York, now the EPA administrator. And then you also saw President Trump's favorite sports enthusiast, his granddaughter, the great golfer, Kai Trump. And beautiful scenes where you see the president with his hand on his heart as they are singing the national anthem. And then you also see Kai right there standing next to him. They're cheering on the game. Hopefully it's a winning game, guys, and as it is underway. But here is NBA Commissioner Adam Silver talking about President Trump being there at MSG.
And I'll also say about President Trump, I've been with the league for a long time. I ran NBA Entertainment years ago. He did an I Love Kids game spot with us. He was a fixture at NBA at Madison Square Garden. You guys remember, all of you, when you played here, not Draymond, but back in the old days, he had courtside seats. He was here all the time. He was at drafts, so he's a genuine Knicks fan.
And he is also somebody who needs a lot of security. Needless to say, you're going into MSG, you're going into New York City, you're going into this whole scenario. And because of all of that, and just this climate right now, well, President Trump is indeed there at MSG. He's in one of the boxes. He's not necessarily sitting there right there on the front row. Although he could afford the tickets, he may be one of the only people who can afford the tickets. If you look at the ticket prices, the prices are anywhere from $7,000 to about $100,000. I mean, that is, quite frankly, who can afford a $100,000 ticket if you're just some like Joe Blow average citizen? And for that reason, that is really, I think that's kind of crazy. I'm glad that they gave some tickets away to regular folks. I'm glad that they said, okay, we need to take care of these regular individuals. We need to have regular ticket holders get access to it. But, maybe it's Ben Stiller who can afford the $100,000. Maybe it's some of these other folks who can afford the $100,000. But to be able to say it's going to be 100 G's to be sitting there in the front, that is absolutely unfair, I think, to the average fan. But I'm glad to see it's a packed house for the Knicks tonight. And here is NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, because she is out there and she said, listen, here are some of the restrictions. You got to check your bags. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's making New York even crazier security-wise. But boy, is it for good reason. Here it is.
Tonight is Game 3 of the NBA Finals, and it is an extraordinary moment for the Knicks and for fans across the 5 boroughs, a chance to celebrate this team and this run with the energy that only New York can bring. But tonight will also bring a major presidential visit to Madison Square Garden. As you know by now, because of that visit, and in coordination with the United States Secret Service, there will unfortunately be no watch party outside of Madison Square Garden for Game 3 of the Finals, and no access to the immediate vicinity of MSG without an authorized reason to be there. No one will be allowed inside the secured area unless they have a ticket to the game, a train ticket, they are going to a business inside the area, they have credentials, or they have some other authorized reason to be there. Everyone entering the secure area will be screened by the New York City Police Department. If you have reason to be in the secure area, you can enter at one of 5 designated entry points where that screening will occur.
And, of course, the Democrats can't even praise President Trump for going to MSG. It's a pretty easy thing. How great. He loves the Knicks. A lot of people love the Knicks. It's pretty easy to say, isn't it wonderful to have the sitting president of the United States in New York and at the biggest game in the world at this moment? Of course, you've got also FIFA coming up. I mean, there's a lot of things to celebrate. He clearly loves sports. He brings his granddaughter who also loves sports and other folks in the cabinet who love sports. And he can't even praise them for that reason. I mean, this is just crazy that you've got these Democrats who they won't even say, oh, it's nice to have the president in the Big Apple. It's nice that he cares about the Knicks. Anything that President Trump has to do, this just shows the looniness of the left. Listen to what AOC had to say about President Trump as he was announcing he was coming to the game.
It already has been a vibe killer because now the city has to shut down all the MSG watch parties that happen outside of the arena that have been the source of like so much fun for everybody, both if you're there and if you're watching it after the clips are posted. Now all of that's going to get shut down tomorrow because Trump wants to show up. And I can tell you, like, as a politician, you know, I've gone to my fair amount of sports games. There are just some things that, like, I mean, you don't want to go either to jinx it or just in general. Sometimes the accommodations that are required for the security for you to show up are just not worth shutting down the fun for so many other people. And sometimes you decide not to go to things so that other people can enjoy it.
And let's go to your calls, guys. Can you believe it? They're saying Trump is a vibe killer, that he shouldn't be in New York cheering on his favorite team. He is a New Yorker. He has been a diehard Knicks fan well before AOC even was a bartender. Give me a break. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?